What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. I've got two picks I'd already put down. I'm going to take you through both of those today. And of course, I'll take you through all my leans and my insights as well. If that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
Russell Westbrook. If you're like me and you bet on Russell Westbrook to get 6.5 rebounds, you're probably still upset right now. Wild stat correction absolutely crumbled my day. Let me explain it while I recap things. So firstly, on the YouTube video I did yesterday, we go 3-1 from that slate, from those videos. Overall, my VIP, it wasn't as good because all the extra picks I picked were pretty ass if you ask me. But one that was a good pick in my opinion was Russell Westbrook. We needed him to get over 6.5 rebounds. Not only to cash that one pick, but also to hit one of these infamous Trixie combos. The stat keepers playing games with us. They give the rebound to DeMar DeRozan, then they take it off DeMar DeRozan, but they don't give it to Russell Westbrook. And man, I probably received 30 to 40 different messages because people were writing the same bet as I did. It could have been an 18-unit swing had they awarded him that rebound. So super frustrating. So on the day, I finished like 3.9 units under on the NBA, which sucks. So on the season, I'm at 7.9 units up on the NBA season. Although it's not great, it's so much better than where I was last year. At this point in the season, last season, I was like minus 20 units. It was a bloody horrific start. So if we're going to be positive about things, that looks good. But let's talk a bit about the picks that I had and what the hell happened. Kevin Love over 1.5 assists. That sucked. I expected him to play 15 minutes. He only played 3 minutes as the Utah Jazz get absolutely blown out by the Timberwolves. So that was awful. Josh Giddey over 8.5 rebounds. Shared this with you guys on the video. Did a lot of analysis for it. And although it didn't cash, I was still somewhat happy with the read. He played a lot of minutes. He just didn't convert the chances. He was there. If you watch the game back, he had a lot of opportunities. He only finished with 7 rebounds. He was exactly where I expected him to be. He's sitting on the weak side, defending the corner, in the right position to get a lot of rebounds. But these other Bulls players, it was probably in the game plan, right, to get those rebounds. We saw Buzelis, Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith, and Okoro. They all hit their rebound line in this game. They hit like well above their season averages. They were rebounding like animals today. So even the ones where Josh Giddey could have had, someone just took it from him. So I don't know, a bit unfortunate with that one. I honestly didn't hate the read despite it losing. And then we had Westbrook over 6.5 boards. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I also bet on Ron Holland over 10.5 points. Expected the Pistons to absolutely slap the Nets around and for him to get extra minutes and opportunities. Whilst they did slap them around, what I didn't take into account is in these cup games, even in a blowout, the starters are going to play more minutes anyway. So that was stupid of me. And then Jalen Johnson over 26.5 points and assists. 21 points, 4 assists. Falls short. I hate to say it, but the line was sharp. Better sharp line. You get a shit result. So that was a pretty average bet, if you ask me. Then on the winning bets, it was Jaylen Brown, which we discussed. Giannis, which we discussed. Brandon Ingram, which we spoke about in the video. And we partially cashed out a Trixie with Westbrook, Jared Allen, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. Got a little bit of profit there. But man, that Westbrook one absolutely killed me. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and here I am. Let's talk about some picks then, shall we? I've got 2 down. I have quickly gone through every single game. So before we jump into the picks, let's talk about PropsMadness. Quick shout out to them. It's the best tool you're going to find if you like betting on NBA player props. I strongly encourage you guys to check it out. It's got advanced analytics tools for both NBA, the NFL, and WNBA. It gets better the more you use it, and the more data it gets, just the juicier it is. So encourage you to check it out. You'll get a 25% discount when you use the code DARF when you sign up. I've got a link for it down below in the video description. Go ahead and suss these guys out. Also, if you're looking for a new Pick'em DFS sportsbook to play on, you should check out Dabble Fantasy if you haven't already. Dabble is close to my heart. So Dabble originally is an Australian company, very big, popular over here, which I use quite a bit. Now branching out into the US. It's been around for a little bit of time, but not many people are using it. So I encourage you guys to check out Dabble Fantasy. They have a great promo. If you sign up with Dabble Fantasy, they'll put $25 right into your account. You don't even have to deposit. On top of that, The pick and feature is pretty awesome in the sense that you get amazing payouts. Their payout structure is pretty good. You can win up to 5,000x if you're a psychopath. You can put that many legs in, but it's pretty good there. They've got some good social features, banter, and probably the best feature on there for Dabble is that you can copy somebody, meaning you could follow someone on there as if it was Instagram. You could follow them, you can see the bets that they place, and in one button, you can pretty much copy their slip. So you can just find the best people who are betting on Dabble, and then you can copy them immediately. So, but I encourage you to check that out. I'll leave a link to Dabble down below if you're interested. Let's talk about some bets. I've only got 2 down, just 2. And the reason why I only have 2 down is probably because I'm still pissed off about Russell Westbrook. And I didn't want to just overcook myself here by going early. There's a couple back-to-backs and stuff like that we need to factor in. But let's talk about it. First one, the Lakers versus the Atlanta Hawks. I'm looking at Luka again. And as much as I want to bet his over in points, that didn't work out well for me last time. He probably gets close to this 35.5, which is a ridiculous points line. I think he still can cover it, to be honest. But my bet for Luka here is his rebounds and assists. I'm taking over 19.5. Now, this 19.5 rebounds and assists is the highest line that Luka has had all season. But in saying that, he's been doing a decent job covering it. 3 out of 5 games. The 2 games where he went under. 19 against the Wolves, 18 against the Memphis Grizzlies. He just happened to score, 45 points at least in both of these games. So probably a little bit too busy scoring. But he still had a ton of rebounds and assists anyway. Why do I like this matchup here against the Atlanta Hawks? Well, the first thing I want to call out, there's no Austin Reeves. So LeBron's got his fake sciatica, which he pretends to have, but he still shoots around, goes to games and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him dunking in the warm-ups and then saying he can't play. But anyway, Luka's still out there. No Austin Reeves. LeBron's still gone. Usage rate for Luka can't get any higher. It's already through the roof. He'll play close to 40 minutes in this one. The spread is 3.5 points. He has averaged about 39 minutes a game so far this season. I don't think there will be a blowout here. And I think Doncic will see at least 40 minutes. So there's a lot of opportunities to get some stats. Now, if we talk about rebounds and assists specifically, the Atlanta Hawks give up a ton of rebounds, 5th most rebounds in the league. In terms of assists, they give up assists right around the basket where Luka gets a ton of his. The Atlanta Hawks give up the 3rd most assists. Now, Luka's assist line's at 10.5. He hadn't cashed that all season, but last game against the San Antonio Spurs, 21 potential assists, no Austin Reeves, and the San Antonio Spurs are a much better defensive team than the Atlanta Hawks. So I think the assist can come easy. And we talk about rebounds, his rebounds line's at 9.5, although he only had 9 rebounds against the Spurs in the 42 minutes. Didn't necessarily see all the chances I would have liked. In this Hawks matchup, I think he sees a lot more rebound chances. They can hide him a little bit more defensively here against the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks don't have amazing offensive talent, I would say. So Luka can pick up the worst guy there, scoop up a lot of rebounds. The Atlanta Hawks do play with a decent pace as well. So it should be up and down, more points, rebounds, and assist opportunities. But yeah, I think Luka's going to get a triple-double. That was my whole thought process here. He'll get a triple-double. I think you can manually do a triple-double for like plus 250, which is something that I'll likely play anyway. But to keep it conservative, I do like his over in rebounds and assists. Whether he absolutely pours in the assists or the rebounds, I think he can definitely get it here. In terms of the matchup and who he plays, they got Dyson Daniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think they're the main 2 will probably pick up Luka Doncic. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has done a little bit of it from his time in Minnesota. He was actually a decent defender on Luka. And then Dyson Daniels, a defensive player of the year candidate. I think he will be once again this season. Although they're not going to be able to stop Luka Doncic. All it takes is like 1 or 2 possessions to really stop him where they otherwise wouldn't, which is going to force more potential assist opportunities anyway. So defensively, I think the Hawks are okay in terms of trying to limit Doncic's points, which means he's going to have to look for others. Whereas if they didn't have that defensive talent, Luka Doncic will try to score 50 points and he might get there. But I think the respect of the defense here that Luka's going to be playing, he's going to force him to get his teammates somewhat involved. I think DeAndre Ayton can have a good game scoring as well, which will help with Luka assists. Rui Hachimura has been shooting extremely well. Laravia is probably a wild card. He's hit and miss, but if he's on today, that should be even more assists to Luka. Regardless, everything in LA goes through Luka right now. 40 minutes against the Atlanta Hawks on the road. His usage rate's going to be sky high. Hopefully these rebounds and assists can come home because the odds for it are pretty good. Close to plus money. Luka Doncic over 19.5 rebounds and assists. Now, the next play that I've got, I am looking at my man Drew Holiday. It's been a minute since I bet on Drew Holiday. I missed him. Now, Drew is up against the Miami Heat today. Firstly, we're looking at 11.5 rebounds and assists. So I got this at plus money. Might even hold at plus money, to be honest, because in his last 2 games, he's only had 9 rebounds and assists in both of them. Played against the Lakers, not a very high-paced team at the moment. OKC, extremely difficult matchup. They allow the fewest rebounds and assists to guards in the league. Now he's up against the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat are a fantastic matchup. I bet on so many Miami Heat games this season because they are the number 1 pace in the league. They play so fast. I absolutely love it. They have the 5th most rebounds and assists to guards, 4th most rebounds overall. I spoke about that pace. They allow a ton of 3-pointers. They also take quite a few 3-pointers themselves, so long rebounds for guards and Drew Holiday. It makes a ton of sense. Looking at this, 7 out of the last 10 guards to play the Miami Heat have gone over their rebounds and assist line as well. So it bodes well here for Drew Holiday, who's got a difficult matchup to score points. I will call that out too. And if it's going to be somewhat difficult for him to score, then it's going to lean more into assists, right? Very similar to the Luka play. He likely sees a Davion Mitchell matchup here. Davion Mitchell, very good defender. Oftentimes, he forces a lot of passes out of guards because it's hard to score on him one-on-one. What I also like is Drew likely defends him, right? The Miami Heat, unless he has to defend Norm Powell, and we don't know if he's going to play, if he gets time on Davion Mitchell is a low-usage guy, not a very confident 3-point shooter. Drew Holiday will be able to sag off, get some long rebounds and such. I also like that we've got a tight spread here. 3-point spread, game total at 240.5. It should be up and down. I think you'll definitely be close to this number for sure. So the rebounds and assists, the matchup for it makes sense. And I will say this, when I spoke about the pace for the Miami Heat, I wanted to see like how he's performed in similar types of games, which are high paced. And then I found this trend, once I can find it. Sorry, reading's not my strong point. Opposition pace where you're at. You're probably watching this like, it's there. You keep skipping it. It's there. All right, here it is. So what this blue line represents is the pace of the opposition he's played. Now, in the 8 games Drew Holiday has already played this season, every single team that he's played is in the bottom half of the league in pace. Timberwolves, Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Jazz, the Nuggets, the Lakers again, and OKC. They're all slower teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if Drew has a great game here because Miami play at the fastest pace. There's just going to be so many more opportunities. But I also will say this could be baked into the line. The 11.5 where he's sitting at, it's tied with the highest line that he's had so far this season. He had an 11.5 line against the Lakers and 11.5 against the Utah Jazz. Now, the line was high in those games, not because of the pace, because the matchup was easier. Whereas against Miami, he's got a good matchup and he's got the pace. And we're getting plus money for Drew Holiday. So, yeah, I'm rolling with it. The only thing that will stop me from betting this is if Damian Lillard is automatically entered into this game and suddenly Drew Holiday may not get the minutes. But we know that's not happening. So I'm rolling with Drew Holiday. Plus money, over 11.5 rebounds and assists. So they're the 2 picks that I have. I'll obviously end up with a lot more because I am a degenerate gambler and I'll find a lot more things to bet on. But for now, that's the only 2 that I have. I do have a lot of leans and a lot of thoughts and opinions, and I'll take you through those next. But before I do that, I ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, help your boy grow. Every person who does that, it honestly means the world to me. Enough fucking around. Let's go do it. All right, let's take it from the top. Mavs versus the Wizards. Now, 2 teams which I would love betting against. Both of them, really, because it's pretty obvious where they suck. The Mavs suck in the paint, but they're very good at defending the 3-point line. The Wizards suck everywhere, but especially the paint. My hesitation for this right now is the status of Anthony Davis. Whilst I personally don't think he plays, Anthony Davis had to go and make himself questionable for this game, which can throw out a lot of things. Didn't play against Memphis. He was doubtful in that game. His next chance to return is in this game against the Washington Wizards, which I really think he shouldn't. Like, do you need him against the Washington Wizards? Like, really? But what that means is we don't get Daniel Gafford lines right now. So Daniel Gafford is the main guy I would have targeted in this matchup against Washington, but because of AD status, we don't get a look. And then on the other side, the Mavs, sorry, not the Mavs, for the Washington Wizards, I would love to bet over an Alex Sarr to score some points. Now, the 17.5 is a high line. That's the highest line he's had all season. But he's been cooking. He's earned this high line. But the matchup here against the Dallas Mavericks is a good one as well because they've been soft as hell down low. Not that they've only been soft, but they kind of force the opposition into the paint because they really do well to restrict a 3-point line. So Alex Sarr was one that I was thinking of. But if it's going to be up against AD and Daniel Gafford, might be a little bit hesitant to do that. So unfortunately, I've got no leans in this game because the injury status is there. There's a couple who are waiting on Keyshawn George, sorry, I apologize. Bilal Coulibaly as well, waiting on their status. Then we've got the Toronto Raptors versus the 76ers. Joel Embiid is back. We've got Jared McCain playing. Like the 76ers are somewhat deep in terms of minutes. So I don't know how these minutes are going to be spread around and who's going to perform in what way. The Raptors are a smaller team. So someone like a Joel Embiid does have the advantage, although Joel Embiid is barely getting his 20 points. He's got that minutes restriction. And the Toronto Raptors also not afraid to double team as well. So I consider Joel Embiid assists at 3.5, but I don't feel like there's a massive edge there. So that was one I thought about. Max's usage has been sky high, but I think Tyrese Maxey's usage and minutes are slowly going to dip over time as the Philadelphia 76ers get healthier. And then we look at this Toronto Raptors team, and they're very hard to bet on. You don't know who is really going to do what. Emmanuel Quickley rebounds and assists was something I was going to take in that last game against Atlanta, and I ended up taking Brandon Ingram rebounds instead, which luckily it cashed. That was a lucky cash. Emmanuel Quickley would have been a sweat-free winner. His line was at 9.5, and it's 9.5 in this one against Philly. The matchup's not too bad either, but yeah. And look, I do have a system play, but forwards to get rebounds against Philly. So the ones I'm considering here is a toss-up between do I run Brandon Ingram back at 5.5 boards or do I take Scotty Barnes to get his rebounds? Scotty Barnes could potentially get 10 boards in this one. The whole thought process around this is if you're not defending Joel Embiid, you're not defending Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, you're likely going to be in a good position to get boards. So if you're the guy who gets to defend Jabari Walker in this matchup, you probably get the most rebounds for your team. But between Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes, who defends Jabari Walker? I'd say Scotty Barnes is probably better suited to it with his size. But at the same time, Kelly Oubre can be an aggressive scorer. I'd say Scotty Barnes is better to defend him. But then do you put Brandon Ingram on Jabari Walker? That's my only hesitation right now. And I hesitate a lot in these types of scenarios. Oftentimes they both cash anyway. But yeah, I think one of them is Brandon Ingram or Scotty Barnes. One of them's going to have a great rebounding game. Then we got the Pelicans versus Spurs. I wanted to bet on Wemby to go straight over his points, and this is his lowest line he's seen all season. But we're also expecting the return of De'Aaron Fox in this one. So De'Aaron Fox comes in and fucks up everything. I don't know who's going to do what now. You can't rely on the season starter because now Fox is in, right? Changes up the whole thing. Even though he's probably on a minutes restriction, it does make it somewhat difficult. Now with the Pelicans, there's not it's not too hard to decipher who does what within this team. No Zion, no Missy, DeJounte Murray, Jordan Poole, they are all out. The main candidates for scoring are Trey Murphy, Jeremiah Fears, and Sadiq Bey. Now, Trey Murphy has had some big games, but this matchup against the Spurs is not a great one. He loves to score from the perimeter, and the Spurs are good at defending that. He did score 24 points against them last time, but that was in 46 minutes. He played 46 minutes to get those 24 points in OT. I don't know if he can do that again, so I'm a little bit hesitant. That line might be a little bit too high for Trey Murphy. Jeremiah Fears, I think this line might probably spot on for him. He will see a lot more minutes, though, so there's probably some upside in that, but the matchup is not a great one for him. And then we have Sadiq Bey. This is the dark horse. I honestly was thinking of betting 2 3-pointers. 2 3-pointers for Sadiq Bey. Hit this in 5 out of 8 games. Hit 3 against the Spurs last time. Now, the Spurs, it is a difficult matchup for 3-pointers, although I think Sadiq Bey is someone they would typically live with. You don't want to let Trey Murphy get hot. I think with Sadiq Bey, they'll leave him somewhat. He's in the starting lineup now, probably plays 28 to 30 minutes. He's one that I considered, but, Zion's probably going to be out for a bit longer. Sadiq Bey, I can bet on him in another game where there's a better matchup. No need to force it. But they're just a couple I thought of. We've got Derek Queen, who's quietly been doing quite well off the bench in terms of points and rebounds. But I think he's playing at a point now where his line is kind of sharpened up. I don't think there's a huge edge on Derek Queen at this point. We've got the Lakers versus the Hawks. I spoke already about Luka. Who else was there? DeAndre Ayton. I think he can have a big game score on the ball. 15.5 points. Should be light work. Atlanta, pretty soft down low. Soft against centers. Good matchup. My only hesitation here is, will he see enough ball? Like, he took 13 shots in that last game against the Spurs, which is good. And Luka still chucked up 1,000 shots. So if I was betting on the Lakers after Luka, DeAndre Ayton to score some points would probably be the second look of mine. For Atlanta, I think Dyson Daniels and his assists catch my attention. 5.5 at plus money is pretty good. Keeping his mind, well, his line was at 5.5 at plus money against the Raptors. Then he finished with 8. Now he's got the Lakers. It's probably a more difficult matchup, but for Dyson Daniels, he's clearly stepped into this playmaking role with no Trae Young. So that's definitely one thing I'd be considering. I don't know if the price holds, but 5.5 is also a pretty high line for him. It's the highest line he's had all season. Even in the first couple of games without Trae Young, his line was at 4.5. He performed very well. It's moved up to 5.5, so there may not be an edge there, but this is a plus money. So, yeah, that's one that I considered. Jalen Johnson is someone you always have to look at, but his lines can be pretty sharp, especially this assist line. Like, it's been at 5.5 the minute Trae Young went down. He's only covered it once since then. The Lakers are a somewhat decent matchup to get some assists on, though. Potential assists wise, he's not getting crazy high potentials. So Jalen Johnson assists, I probably lean to the under, which is brave, but he can have a strong game in terms of scoring and rebounding the ball. But I think his lines are super sharp because of how consistent he is. He's always going to be close to them. So it could be a little bit difficult there. No one else really caught my attention here for the Atlanta Hawks. We got the Bulls and the Cavs. This one should be an easy decision, but it's not. The Bulls, this is the summary on the Bulls. They defend the 3-point line decently well. They struggle against high usage stars, and they get pounded in the paint. And if you have a shooting big that plays against them, that shooting big likely gets open. So what that means for the Cavs is Donovan Mitchell could have a huge game like he's done in the past. Evan Mobley could have a huge game. Darius Garland, he's had some good games against the Bulls. Jared Allen could have a huge game. There's so many options here. Plus, we have an 8.5 point spread. The Bulls have been sneaky good this season, but I would not be surprised if the Cavs have absolutely slapped them around and potentially rest some starters because the Cavs are on a back-to-back. So I'm not sure if I can get there with any of these starters right now, knowing that all of them have pretty good matchups. For the Bulls, obviously Josh Giddey's someone you have to consider. He's going to score. He'll rebound. He'll do all those things. He just won't rebound when you need him to. I feel like, it's not even I feel like. I already know. There's so many times you take a bet on somebody, they lose, and then the very next game, they go over. They go over. Anyone see Simone Fontecchio's game today? He went over after I bet he's under. Bet he's over in the last game and he went under. Josh Giddey didn't get his rebounds yesterday. He might get them today. And the thing is, his rebound line when I took it against the Bucks was 8.5. It closed at 9.5. It's opened at 9.5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, despite only getting 7 rebounds against the Bucks. So chances are he bounces back, gets the over on the boards. But Josh Giddey should be he'll have a nice start line. The problem with people like Josh Giddey is like you're probably not going to get too much value given how high their lines are. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists is his line. That's crazy. One that I consider, though, from the Bulls is a Matas Buzelis under 15.5 points. He scores his points in transition and in the pick and roll, and he likes to score in the paint. The Cavs, very good at limiting points in transition and the pick and roll. And if he's going to be attacking the paint, the Cavs, they're better than average down there with both Mobley and Jared Allen protecting the paint. It might be a little bit difficult here for Matas Buzelis. I think his path to victory, if he does go over the 15.5, he'd probably have to make like 3 or 4 3-pointers, which he made 2 against the Bucks. Like he can make 2 for sure, but I don't know if he's going to have that much success here against the Cavs. So, yeah, I lent to the under there for Matas Buzelis and his points. Moving to the next game is the Blazers versus the Heat. Like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunity with the pace of this game. The problem is the lineups. Norm Powell's questionable. Bam Adebayo's questionable. Shaedon Sharpe is probable to play this one. So depending on who's in or out, kind of changes who you can really bet on. But in this type of matchup, the Blazers are a very good defense. The Blazers defense don't give up points above the break. They're pretty good in the paint as well, but they'll let you score in the corner. Or if you're somebody who can do some pull-ups and hit some middies, that might be a look too. So he's not on. He doesn't have a line because we don't know if he's playing. But if Bam Adebayo is playing and he's healthy, I think Bam Adebayo could have actually a strong game. Davion Mitchell should get a bounce back in his assists. 7.5. He only had 5 against Charlotte. He could have a bounce back here, but I think it's really dependent on Bam Adebayo playing. Another one I considered was Denny Ardby and his points. Look at these points. Unbelievable. So this is his closing line. He's covered his closing line in 7 out of 8 games this season. This line at 22.5 is covered in 6 out of 8. A great pace-up spot. I spoke about it earlier with Drew Holiday, how a lot of the teams they played were slow in pace. Denny Ardby just loves to run and just push the ball in transition. He should find himself pushing the ball in transition a lot here against Miami. He should be up and down. Denny Ardby can get to the free throw line extremely well. His points over is something that I definitely leaned on. Jeremy Grant's points line is at 18.5, which is just insane, right? Playing off the bench, scoring this well off the bench. We've been waiting for him to stumble, but he hasn't. I don't know when the right time is going to be to bet it under, but it's coming. Sometime soon it's coming. We got the Pacers versus the Nuggets. This one I didn't have too many leans on. Jokic's lines are crazy high again. Although the matchup's soft for most players here. I think the one that caught my attention is probably like a Jarris Walker. And I'd be looking at like his rebounds, 5.5 rebounds, or his assists, 3.5. I think I spoke about this in my last video, rebounds and assists. Had that as a lean that cashed against Brooklyn. Pascal Siakam could get busy, but, you know, his line is 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. If this gets a little bit out of hand, it's 11.5 point spread. Some of these might be a little bit difficult to hit. So right now, not the most exciting matchup. Mathurin, Nembhard. Mathurin's doubtful. Nembhard, questionable, but I don't think either of them play. I don't think this is the matchup for them. It probably doesn't make too much of a difference. Jokic has been pretty aggressive trying to score the ball. Like his line's at 27.5 right now. So I think my lean for Nikola Jokic would be under 27.5 points, but then you're banking on a blowout here. So I think you put the under into Nuggets money line perhaps, but yeah, looking to fade Jokic points potentially, but not with too much confidence. Then we've got the Suns versus Clippers game we thought we were going to have. Well, James Harden is back. Kawhi Leonard is still out. But we've got a close game here, 4.5 points spread. Couple of looks I had. James Harden, I wanted to take his rebounds and assists. It moved from 13.5 to 14.5 as I was like doing my research on it. And I was like, I can't share this because then everyone has to play 14.5 when I've got a much lower number. I like the matchup here. It makes sense. But yeah, the line already moved. So the pivot from that, his rebound line's at 5.5 at plus money. Assist line at 8.5. I probably lean towards the rebounds. 5.5 rebounds for James Harden. I don't mind that. Then we have Zubac. I was actually leaning to the under 16.5 points for Zoo. He just scored 23 points against Phoenix, but that was no Harden, no Kawhi. He doesn't play extra minutes with Kawhi Leonard out because he's splitting the minutes with Brook Lopez anyway. So Zubac probably just plays 30 minutes as his normal rotation. I just don't know if he's going to get the touches that he did against the Suns in the last game. So I probably lean more towards his under with the way that James Harden been scoring that thing. Bradley Beal, this is his chance to back it up. Well, actually, he's played the Suns twice already this season. And he scored 6 points in the first game in 20 minutes, then 5 points in 20 minutes in the second game when we just finished. Like all signs point to taking Bradley Beal under 10.5 points at really good odds. Or does he finally make it right? 2 from 14. Yuck. So I lean to the under there. But here's an under that I actually like. It's this Brook Lopez one. Brook Lopez under 8.5 points. Some places have him at 7.5. What's crazy about this is Brook Lopez, this line he has for this game, the 8.5 or 7.5 points, it's the highest line he's had all season. And it's not like he's played really well to earn a higher line. So, and I looked at the projections in terms of minutes and stuff like that. Brook Lopez projected to play 16 minutes. He averages 16 minutes anyway. So he's going to play his usual minutes. His points line has just increased from 6.5, where it normally is, up to 8.5 in some books. So in order for Brook Lopez to cover that 8.5, he would have to make 3 3-pointers. Like, that's where, 70% of his points? Yeah, 74% of his points come from the 3-point line. I feel like he'd have to make 3-pointers, 3 3-pointers to bust this 8.5 wide open. So, yeah, I probably lean to his under as well. I feel like that's a little bit wrong. And then looking at the Phoenix Suns, you can't help but think Jalen Green can have a good game. He'll play a little bit more minutes, I think, in this one. He scored 29 points in his opening game in 23 minutes. Should play about 25 minutes in this one. Gets the same matchup against the Clippers. It's a good matchup. The Clippers give up points above the break. But my pivot to this is like, what if we treat this like the playoffs and the Clippers do something differently to try to slow him down? Then suddenly Jalen Green gets some assists is not such a bad thing. But his line's 2.5 on most books, heavily juiced. 3.5 would be plus money, though. I could entertain the 3.5 if the Clippers are probably going to do a better job defensively. I don't mind the assist there for Jalen Green. So, but it's not 3.5. Actually, on FanDuel, or my version of FanDuel anyway, I could just take him for 4 assists. I wonder what the odds are. I could just check that shit out right now. This is the last game anyway. So Jalen Green, 4 assists. Oh, yeah. So it's plus 155 if you wanted to take Jalen Green for 4 assists. So that's a look, but we'll see. I want to see if this line naturally just moves itself to 3.5. It means someone in the market agrees. It'll probably drop to like plus 120 or something, but still plus money. I'll wait for that signal, and if it's there, then Jalen Green over his assists with the assumption that the Clippers are going to make some adjustments defensively. One other thing to factor in is, what's his name? The angry Canadian, Dylan Brooks. There's a chance that he returns in this game. So just factor that in when you're looking at everything. The Suns are going to be a little bit stronger. I think this game's going to be tight. But I think there's some value on one of these guys on the perimeter for the Phoenix Suns. I might get cute with it and take that Jalen Green assist the more that I think about it. But we shall see. It's still very early as I record this. I'll get a lot more time to review some things. But that's all I've got for you today, kings and queens. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're betting on this slate. I wish you guys the absolute best of luck. I'll catch you in the next one.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.